Hello YouTube friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know, usually when we think about decorating a tank, we think in terms of rocks and the traditional types of decor, plants, sunken ships, whatever it is that you're using as decor. But you don't necessarily think about lights, and yet lights can make a very big difference in the feel, the mood of your tank, and also impact the behavior of the fish. Let's go ahead and talk about different ways to use lights as decor. If you're new to the channel and you like the content of what you see here, please be sure to hit that sub button and the notification bell, and that'll tell YouTube that the channel has something worthwhile to offer, and encourage YouTube to share the channel with other fish keepers. That's how channels grow on YouTube, and I appreciate you doing that. So let's talk about lighting, using lighting as a way of decorating. And for the most part, when you look at the tanks at a friend's house or in an aquarium store, what you normally see is a tank that is just brightly lit. And there are advantages to that. It does show a lot of the details, but it is possible, in my opinion, that you can actually just sort of over light, add too much light, and in doing so, wash out the fish. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tank behind me, this 210 gallon. I'm going to use it to show you some examples of the differences that different kinds of lighting can have in how your tank appears. And let's go ahead and do that. We'll do it as a sort of experiment. I'll run it through some of the phases. By the way, the lights that are on this tank are 3 JC and P lights. And the reasons I like those lights, as you'll see in what I'm going to demonstrate, is that they give you control over 3 different kinds of colors. You can add percentages of red, blue, and white. The white has a little bit of green in it too. And so you have these 3 different light options on each light strip, and you can increase or decrease them in 10% increments. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's take a look. What you see here is how a lot of folks like to keep their tanks. And as you can see, this is just very bright. This is almost 100% on all 3 light fixtures that are on the tank right now. I don't mind it, but I'm sort of starting to lean towards a different style of lighting. This type of lighting, of course, doesn't really give any dark spots where a fish can hide. So the only real hiding spots from dominant fish, like that living stone eye who's acting up right now, the only real hiding spots are just behind plants or out of the line of sight. This option of lighting here actually provides a center of lighting while creating a bit of a shadow on the outside corners. This is disguising both equipment, such as outputs and power heads or wave makers, and at the same time, it's providing some of the fish a place where they can hide and be sort of in the dark and feel a little bit safe and secure from the more aggressive fish in the tank. This is more of a style of lighting that I'm getting into now. You can have fun with these kinds of lights and create all kinds of different lightscapes, if you will. This one, as you can see, is primarily red, which goes a little bit pink with a little bit of blue mixed up. And that's only one of the light fixtures, the one in the front center. Kind of fun when you like to mess around or just have a different look for your tank. What I've been going with recently and really enjoying is using the front center light as primarily white with a little bit of blue and red in it, but then using the back corner lights with about 20% blue and red and no white in the back corners. And as you can see, it creates this sort of odd Marscape, a reddish blue in the back corners, and that I think is kind of pretty, and it lets the fish kind of come in and out of focus, so you get these sort of color bursts as the fish swim through the primary lighting and then disappear off to the edges. And if they think for a second I'm going to be feeding them, they tend to come over here. So you can see as they come into the light how their colors just sort of blow up, and then they sort of fade back into the corners. I find this type of lighting very, very relaxing. Now, unfortunately, with most types of lighting systems, you're not going to have these options. You're going to have to seek out a type of light that gives you a control of different kinds of lights, like the JCMPs. You do have some control, I believe, in the Hygger lights and the other lights that I use here. The BeamsWorks, I think you have to buy a separate plug-in that gives you some control, but I don't believe it would give you percentages of different colors. As you can see, this is I find this to be very aesthetic, just a pretty type of a way of lighting, and the fish have the advantage of being able to stay in the shadows if they don't want to be out in the open. But when they do come out into the middle of the tank, they can be very pretty. Looks like messing with all the light has got my Nimbochromis livingstoni kind of fired up, chasing everybody around. But I think you get the point. So there's no need to just have a completely washed out, all white light tank that washes out the fish and really doesn't, in my opinion, provide hiding spots or is as relaxing as a different way of lighting. And so I think I'm going to be sticking with this type of lighting where I have a primary lit area working here and then maybe some colored lights in the back. I'll keep messing around with it, different combinations of blue, white, and red, and just keep mixing it up and just enjoy the heck out of it. And it's almost like you're painting your aquarium, you're decorating your aquarium with lights. And so that's my tip on lighting. If you have any ideas, comments, or suggestions, please share them below. We all learn from each other on this channel. And I hope to see you on Saturday for the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. We'll talk about everything from lighting to filtration and a whole lot more with a great group of fish keepers. Also, big shout out and thank you to my Patreon members. Just click on the Patreon logo at the bottom right of the channel banner for more information and a special video on what being a member of the Garage Gang, a Patreon member, what that means. All right, thank you for tuning in. You are appreciated. Bye-bye.